once again here, Tronique 2012. Here with one of Manchester's biggest acts at the moment, I've got to say, it's Dawn Rays. Okay. So let's go back and start talking about you guys actually producing and talk about DJing. When did you guys, what came first basically, DJing or production?
I have to, well, for me personally, it's always been the DJing side. Sorry, go on.
What was your DJing?
Initially, like, I was like a proper true hip hop head, you know,
right.
From a young age up until like well into my teens. That's all I listened to. Do you know what I mean? From when I found out about labels like, you know, Def Jam, EPMD, Public Enemy, LL Cool J, people like that who just sort of like, the sounds that was coming from the States at that time was something unique, you know what I mean? Definitely. And even though as a child I was like, you know, music was all new to me, it was one of them that just sounded completely different to anything else, you know? Especially things like Public Enemy, it just sounded like Armageddon, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that sort of stuff like is what sucked me in initially, and then just the sheer love for music sort of led towards, in the end, sort of like coming to uni, obviously doing the whole raving thing beforehand, coming back up to Manchester to go uni, and sort of like, meeting a few like-minded people who were into the same music as me, and doing a bit of DJing, and you know, from hanging around together, it just kind of all just rubbed off on me.
Was that like forming a collective at that time?
Yeah, it was exactly that. That was like way back in like the mid-90s now. So yeah, when I say come back up here, I was actually born in Manchester and then grew up in London. So when I come back up here and met all those people, like I said before, it was like, just seemed like the way to go.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, good set of people, and yeah, like the DJing bug just like gripped me, and the rest is history.
So what year was that when the DJ?
I'll say like that was way back in about 94, 95.
Right.
94. So just
as
Jungle
as
it's like dropped, So I was going to obviously like places like Eastland Block. I think like Fat City Records had just formed at that point in Afflex. So I used to nip up there, picked up a few plates there, and then obviously like Eastland Block was the place at the time. Like Mark XTC was working there, and Marcus Intelex was working in there. And yeah, the whole vibe and like was running at that time.
And they were like spinning records as well.
That's it. And then obviously like meeting Sapo, Sarge was it? Yeah, at that time they was working there as well. Yeah, that's it. And people like that. And I suppose it was nice because I sort of like come up here and had the whole sort of university thing going on. But I tried to really immerse myself in the Manc way of things and like get to know the people who were doing it up here, and like go to their nights, and just show the love for the scene that was up here at that time.
Big man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's for me it wasn't so much the hip hop like as early back as Kholoud, man. I kind of discovered by chance probably hardcore when it first got around sort of 90, end of 91, start of 92.
Right, okay.
And it was just
the breakbeat sort of side.
Yeah, man, it was a chance thing.
Hardcore, because that was just kind of settling in when it around 92, that was kind of
Grand
National, you know what I mean? That was kind of kicking it back then.
Yeah, it was, man. I by chance, I was like, I kind of used to wake up in the night, man. I was like a sleeper as a kid, man, and I just used to turn the radio on, and one night, turned on the radio and started hearing tunes. Like this guy was playing, it was like a dance show, and this guy was, you know, it was a guy called Steve Mason, and he's like a guy who does like, he's not like a well-known DJ, but he is like abroad because he does like, he's big in Germany and places like that, man, but he's like an English guy. And he was doing this show, and it was like Trip to the Moon by Asen, Shop and Dance, Green Man, you know, just like Jock's Nightmare, Messiah, There Is No Law, and all these tunes. Like I heard Sweet Harmony the first time by Liquid, which was like, but it wasn't like the original one, you know, with all the piano in it. It was like a hard mix of it. And I was like, listen to the beats and that, you know.
Was that 4/4 beat?
No, it wasn't a 4/4 beat. It was
as it become broken.
Yeah, no, it was like a proper broken beat. It was like heavy break, man. And the thing is, previous to that, just before that, I sort of caught a kind of whole straight out Compton, you know, NWA thing, you know, sort of whereas hip hop started to get really heavy, the beats and stuff, and using heavy breaks. And this kind of was that continuation, but with more the you know, the rave sounds that you know today. And I just kind of got onto it. I just thought this is amazing. Just got onto it and just started taping the shows, man. And just my education just went from there, man. Just constantly listened to it ever since. You know?
So what's the first tune that both of you can? You say this with the first tune that you heard, but I've got to be down with this. I've got to be part of that.
For me, like it was quite a few at that time that just sort of all came in like one sort of splurge, if I could call it that. Like where I lived, like growing up on my estate and that, like there was loads of lads who were going out raving, like, Coach, you need to check this sound, and I was like, I just speeded up hip hop, you know what I mean, at the time. Yeah, like, because the beats, and then when I really zoned in on it, I was like, yeah.
You know where the beats come from?
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, right, okay, yeah, I'm down with that. And then from when I went to, it was like my first like proper rave was like Dreamscape, alongside a Jungle Fever, and like hearing tunes. At that time, the tune that really got me, I have to say, was Sound for the Underground. Chrome Time, which in the end it's become an anthem. Do you know what I mean? But you know, if you're one of those who was about from the inception of that tune. Do you know what I mean? So it was like,
Suburban bass all day were killing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Future Assassin.
Danny Breaks was just the bomb at that time.
That's it. And I suppose that was when all of a sudden the hip hop tape started to become less than 50%. You know what I mean? It was like all of a sudden.
I'm not selling you out, but you're
Exactly, because what we were listening to was fresh, it was new, and it was from where we were from.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That was the main thing. It was like, right, okay, it's on your doorstep. You know what I mean? Tunes are getting made here. And
true.
it feels like it was ours and like the ownership.
Well, it is.
Of it.
It is. That's our heritage, man.
Exactly.
No matter what anybody says, that's our heritage.
100%.
What about you, Bob?
It's quite funny because I always say that it was literally the time when I first started doing these shows, and another one of the tunes I think today still sticks with me and it's just amazing, but I don't think it was that big, was Debt by the Demon Boys. And I say this to Coach, right, and he's like that, man, going, it's a big tune,
but I bought it for the other mix, but when Abe told me, I goes, that was on the other side, and I goes, Demon Boys, I mean, that album,
I could never work out whether it was 33 or 45, 33 it sounded sick, 45 it sounded a bit sick, so I was like, is this hip hop? You know what I mean?
Exactly, it was right in the middle, and you know, it was Ragged Twins, wasn't it, and Million Down and that, you know, it was I just thought like Kojo, like I like the vocal version, but there was like a jungle mix of it on the other side, and it was literally called the Jungle Debt. Jungle Debt it was called.
And that's when Rebel MC was on that same label as well. So what tunes Humanity that they come out with, and tunes like that. You know what I mean? They were at the same time at the same label, and they were killing it.
Another one, just another one though that I've got to mention as well. I always used to get onto, and it was another tune that I had to go out and get the vinyl, man, just to have it, man, and just like play it. It was Express Yourself by Family Foundation, isn't it? Old X, isn't it? You know what I mean? So you know, it's like sweet, man. You know, it's amazing. Like, you know, sort of a lot of the tunes that XTC's done over the years, man. It's heavy, and they were some of the earliest ones that you got to hear. You know what I mean? So all them kind of tunes, man. But Jungle Debt was
big up, two good choices there. What's That leads me straight to the Slipmat tune, which big up on that tune. The tune's wicked. One of my all-time favourite tracks, anyway, the original and the remix of it. You know, Tell us a bit about. I was saying this before. We were talking about this before. How people do ask me, how did you get hold of that sample? How did you get hold of that the sample pack? And I just say, well, I asked the guy. So can you just explain to people that if it is, you know, just take that step forward and ask people?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of happened with that was I was chatting to a guy called AJ, who's an old school DJ from Blackpool, and you know, he said, oh, you know, I'll ask Slipmat, I know him from back in the day. And I said to him, well, you know, if you could get the samples, we'll do the remix. And he was just all right then, you know, and nothing really happened for a while. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he kind of said, yeah, I've got the samples for you, And then so, you know, he come round to the house, man, and I said, you know, come and sit in and watch the session. So he come in and sat in and watched the session, and you know, we put it together, man. And then, you know, After that, we sent it to Mike, and Mike kind of, you know, sort of went through the channels to get it sort of cleared and stuff, and Slipmatt sort of cleared it, and it came out on the step back session. That was it, really. Yeah, that's how it happened, man. It just happened like that. Originally, we wanted to do it because we wanted to have a version of it that we could play. Because you know, I don't really want to go into it too much, but there was a version that had just come out, you know, at the time, or like a bit before that we weren't feeling as much. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say anything more about it. It was, you know what I mean? It was what it was, but it wasn't our kind of thing. So we wanted,
very diplomatic.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, we wanted to make something that we would like, that we wanted to play in the set, man. That's how the idea initially came about, and
pay homage to it.
Yeah, pay homage to it, man.
And also
you know,
do it justice if possible. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely done that, man. The tune sounds wicked.
I mean, we didn't want to change it too much because it's such a good tune on its own. We just wanted to have like a updated,
fresh version.
Fresh version of it, man. And at the time, you know, a couple of years ago, that
was it 94? Was it that first? Was it 94?
93, 94.
Right.
Yeah, a bit earlier, man. But you know, the what is it? At the time there was loads of kind of remixes coming out of that style. You know, you had like Blade Runners, Renegade Snares, was doing the rounds. You people were still
High Contrast as well. He
did a version. It's Cold Fresh Air. You had by Higher Sense, which Scientific remix. You had all the you had the previous Step Back sessions, which had a load on, which were like sort of Papa Lover remix by Serum, and you had what was it? Was it the R?
Yeah, that was the We Are remix. On our one, wasn't it?
We Are remix by
Aries
Aries All of My remix. You know, it was just kind of
all running tunes from back in the day.
But they'd all just been freshened up. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that was because, not saying that it got stagnant, but where people just sick of what was going on at the time, so it's like a cycle, you've got to go back to where we started.
I think so.
I know for sure. I think the music, like, I mean, the D&B's is, it's as big as it's ever been. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much of it out there.
It's so diverse.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whereas like back in the day, you'd see like a dozen DJs in a night, but like 70% of the sets are going to be pretty much the same tunes.
Yeah, true.
Whereas nowadays there's so many subgenres within the genre.
Let's take it a bit more about your own production and your own style of production as well, especially with let's talk a bit about jungle, because like the same. Many people have different. You ask 100 people at jungle, you get 100 different answers. So, what is your definition of jungle, and what you stay true to?
I'd say my definition of jungle is, like you say, everyone's got their own versions, but I'm just going to be straight and just say that it's that kind of 93 to 97 kind of era of the music. So anything that was made in those years,
all those cantankerous
for me that's jungle, man. All the kind of mash up, the snare rolls and the kind of simple bass lines, the really just lots of amens, But for me especially, like the bass lines are just dead simple. I think with drum and bass, the way it's gone now is the bass lines. People artists are making them very kind of deep and very intricate, and it's very in some cases very experimental, and that's wicked, man. You've always got to have that avant-garde of the music, that you've always got to have people pushing the boundaries, trying to take it forward. Can't not have that, but I think at the same time you need
it dilutes the actual essence of
you forget because if you go too far into the future with it and experiment too much with it, I think you end up losing yourself.
You've always got to pay a nod to the past, haven't you?
At least recognise it.
And I think it's jungle's having a renaissance. It's like that, isn't it? It's like that. It's being reborn, and like. It's really exciting because of that, because it's that, like I say, that for me, it had that certain, and Coach, we always talk about it, how it had that, it's the way drum and bass is now, when you compare it to jungle, it's just got a totally different feel to it, man. Totally.
I think part of that is because of like, you know, the fusion of sounds, like as we were talking about like earlier on.
Is that with like analog and digital as well?
That definitely comes into it for sure. But I'd say also, you know, in terms of like at that time, because the music was new back then, you had people drawing upon their sort of what inspired them prior to listening to that. So you had the soul elements in there, you had the sort of like rare groove, you had the hip hop elements, you had obviously the reggae and the ragga, do you know what I mean? And that was what they were listening to prior to this new music coming about. So they drew on that experience to throw it into this new sound.
Talking about history. Let's talk a bit about the software, and I've noticed that you're using Reason, and I've seen a bit of your hardware in there. You've got the 808 in there, you've got some wicked equipment, got some deck over there that I've never even seen before. I thought I knew about decks.
There's some special one over there, man.
You know what I mean? So tell us a bit about the hardware and your collecting it.
Well, it's kind of like it's a combination of various producers that we work with and we know and we all kind of just put it together in the studio together and just pulled it all together basically, and it's resulted in that, man. And we've got like loads. We've got like it's just like reel-to-reel machine in there, man. We've got like valve compressors in there and stuff. But the thing is, we've got organs, Yamaha organs and stuff, but it's like, man, we've got massive sound libraries as well, man, in there. So it's difficult to get round to
all the vinyl
and we've got all the vinyl to sample as well, man. So, with all that stuff there, I suppose, it's hard to get through it all, man. But we just do whatever. It's because there's so much there, it just gives you that complete freedom to just dive in at any point. And experiment and do whatever, man. But you know what I mean? It's like if you want to get an idea down quick, you don't have to start from scratch and get all the bits together. They're just all there, ready to go, and you can just jump in and just get on with it, man. Because we've kind of spent the time sampling over the years and collecting.
How big is your sample bank?
It goes back years, isn't it? So like, because it goes back so long as well. Like, you don't get me wrong, we're carrying a fair amount of like baggage within that as well.
It's got like a terabyte easy. Of just audio.
Exactly.
Just individual half-second samples.
A long time collecting, you know what I mean? A long time collecting, because like we're in a little collective where there's like quite a few of us. Like everyone brings their things to the table, if I can call it that, whether it be equipment, whether it be sounds, whether it be records, whether it be CDs that have been lost and found. You know what I mean? It's like I said, a nice little melting pot. And because of that, we can dip in and out whenever we feel.
So let's talk a bit about the actual production side of things. What do you start with? Do you start with a beat, or do you? Well, let's go back to the actual idea. What do you think to yourself, or what do you jungle, or drum step, or drum and bass? Take us a bit through the process.
I suppose it depends on the mood, or sometimes like things are made to order, isn't it? It's like if we're doing a remix, or we're doing a remix for a certain artist who wants it in a certain style, then obviously we have to fulfill the brief. Yeah, exactly, and that's totally cool, and that's what we want to do, and work with other people.
It's
because
like
it makes
a
us
challenge,
more
isn't it?
versatile.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You got to prove that you're versatile as a producer, as well as a DJ.
Versatility is, definitely a plus. So in that sense, like that's good. But with regards to maybe our own stuff, it really is a vibe, as what Aid said earlier. It can be mood that will influence it. I mean, mood always influences it, but like things like it just being a summer's day or something could influence it. And so we tend to just vibe with the feeling of that time. You know what I mean? And roll it out, whatever it may be. So
So tell us a bit about the beats, what the beats that you choose as well. You don't always use an aiming, and it's you kind of like vary which
because sometimes
aiming that you use as well. I've noticed.
We use a lot of amens, but we love the amen. I don't really care. I just love it, man.
It's definitely a signature of like our style. Do you know what I mean?
Well, people could say to me, "Oh, you know what? Every tune you ever play's got or every tune you guys ever play's got an amen in it." And I'll just say to them, "Man, I've been listening to that break for the last nearly 18 years, I'm still not bored of it."
from Dawn Rage in the for the near future?
Yeah, we managed to kind of sign a deal like about best part of 18 months ago now, isn't it? Luckily enough, we had a few sort of like bits and pieces that were floating around between sort of people who were close to us and, you know, extended friends, and a couple of our tunes sort of found their way to Mike Vapor, big up Mike, 36 Hertz, and basically he sort of cottoned onto our style, do you know what I mean, as we were talking about earlier, and as a result of that we signed a deal with him, so an exclusive one as well. So yeah, I mean, due to that,
does that give you the freedom and also like the I suppose I was going to say safety, but it's not really the right word.
Yeah.
You know that
element. It's got that element.
Someone actually wants you to do what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like someone, you know, has found the faith in us. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Up until that point, like people like Sapo, you know, big up Sapo, Advisory Records, like you know, he did show an interest in like what everything we were doing, and like. You know, we had a few tunes out with Sapo, and that was absolutely brilliant. Like, and you know, like hats off to him in that respect, man. He's definitely a good, valid mentor of ours over the, you know, the time that we've been coming up.
Of the game, hasn't he?
Yeah, for real, man, for real. That I always have ultimate respect for Saps. Like, you know, he's a legend in the game as far as I'm concerned, and as far as we're concerned.
So for sure, man.
Yeah, man. Then the natural progression after a few sort of releases was that sort of like confidence to sort of like say, okay, yeah, if someone is taking an interest in us to sign us exclusively, let's roll with it, because, you know, we're going to have a consistent output for our tunes, which has led us to where we are today.
And you had a good following as well, you know, with the blacks like Chrissy Chris and...
Yeah, exactly. It definitely helped with opening doors as well, you know, to those sort of people, and I suppose giving it, rubber stamping our tunes and saying, yeah, these guys can make tunes, and I'm saying that as well, so let me pass it to people like Bailey and Chrissy Chris, and, you know, even L Double back in the day dropped a few of our tunes when he was on One Extra with Sapo and that, so yeah, big up L. And yeah, you know, that led towards, you know, people like Mike like taking an interest in us, and then he's really supported us from then on. Yeah, like I said, to where we are now, where we've got quite a few things like coming out over the next sort of year or so, you know, it's sort of, yeah, we can kind of see the road sort of like mapped out. Well, we've got Back to the Base 2, which is out at the moment. We've got a tune on there with, you know, a real star of the scene at the moment. Yeah, Blade, man. Like,
killing it right now, isn't it?
Yeah,
got Blade, man.
Guy's super talented.
Too much,
do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Smashing it down, mate, honestly.
Yeah, like, he's a top guy as well. So yeah, big up Deb. And yeah, like we've got a tune with him on that, on the Back to the Base, and that's just dropping now. And we've got an EP coming out next month. Which is called Tears in the Rain, 4-track EP, and the feedback of that, you know what I mean, has been like wicked so far.
You got tours coming up as well, or are you just mainly like in the studio now trying to... What about an album? Are you guys thinking of doing an album?
We're doing it.
That was part of the deal.
Yeah. We're going to be doing an album which we're hopefully going to have done. Yeah, we've got 2 that we've got to do, but the first one we're going to have finished by sort of end of this year. It'll be sort of set probably.
Is that going to be mainly jungle, or you yet to work on what sort of?
It's not going to be all just jungle. It's we kind of decided it was going to be, you know, we've decided it was going to be something that was kind of a bit more eclectic. It had a wider range. So yeah, I mean,
and that was a part of the freedom of the deal as well.
Yeah.
It was like,
so
we wanted that within there, and like, to be honest, Mike supported us 100%.
So nearer the time, I think we'll kind of start to become clear how that's going to pan out. But you know, at the moment, it's kind of, we've not really been focusing on the album. We've got stuff that we've started putting together for it, but we've not had to work too hard on it just yet. Because we've just been busy kind of cementing the kind of, you know, like Kojo says, the kind of the tracks, the foundation, just getting ourselves on board, getting ourselves sort of, you know, sort of into the sort of I don't know what you
Into
want
the
to call it,
scene,
into
man.
the scene, man.
Yeah,
Into that kind of thing, innit?
Yeah.
You know, right,
That's
which is a big jump, really. You know, for I think.
Well,
really,
as far as I'm concerned, you guys are already there. You know what I mean? So I think
Respect,
man.
man.
Cemented, you know what I mean? As far as I'm
Nice
concerned,
one.
listening through your tracks there, it's like taking you right back. You know what I mean? And when I found Slip Back on there, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm with this. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, man, definitely cemented in the game, man.
Nice one.
We just I guess our message for you know the thing we want to bring to the music is that, you know, that time that we really always remember about the music, and just bringing that, and if people enjoy that,
Bringing it back to life.
But bringing that bit back to life, man. And if people enjoy it, man, and I'm sure that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that do, man. You know, that's for them, really. Do you know what I mean? And anybody else that wants to listen to it, like I say, we're not trying to do anything. I'd be first to say we're not trying to do anything that's like new and exciting and innovative and never been done before, man. We're just trying to do our thing, man. Yeah, it's just our vibe, man.
It's like a forgotten type, it's a forgotten genre.
Yeah, because the music moves on
it.
so quickly, you know, you find that periods get forgotten about, and you'll find in, I don't know, 5 years' time, there'll be probably a jump up revival with, you know, and all the old hazard tunes will all start coming back out again. And, you know, so it did, like you say, things move in cycles, and I think around about now, it kind of just seems to be that people are getting onto that kind of jungle sound.
So, future for Dawn Reid.
Well, okay, hopefully it's bright, you know what I mean? Like I said earlier, it's going in a nice direction for us now, and things are starting to sort of snowball. So, yeah, we're as busy as we've ever been. We've got a lot of gigs coming up, a lot of them in the northwest, a lot of them sort of like, you know, within our
Capacity.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to do gigs.
Well,
It's nice to do gigs at home, because you obviously get that love and appreciation from the home crowd and all that. We've started to do gigs, like as I just said, abroad, and like that's been wicked, man. Like, show a lot of love for our German pals. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, shouts to like Gertie, Julian, and like, you know, everyone over there at
Sensation crew, man.
Put us on over the past few months. So that's been a bit of an eye opener, because it's something we did like back in the day, but you know, since sort of like getting on the producing route, it's been a lot harder to attain. But obviously, once you get to a point where people are loving the tunes and that, you start to get the notice. So yeah, we've got a lot of gigs coming up over the next over the coming months, and
so it's be getting
the
more gigs,
foreseeable
really.
future, which is nice, man. That's nice. And
it's not like we've got any like major agenda. I don't think we want to. You know, I think I'm saying this, but when I speak for both of us, when I say we don't want to take over the world, man.
You're not taking over the world.
Trying to we're not going to be the biggest. We're going to be the biggest thing, the biggest thing in the world. We're going to take it over. It's all that, the world is mine. Put everything in it. No, it's like no, not at all, man. We're just gonna.
Just have fun and do
do a thing, man. And that's what it's always been about from the start. That's what it will always be about. You know what I mean? It's what keeps us sane in life, man.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, man, the tunes are wicked, you know what I mean? Really nice speaking to you guys, man. Learned a lot from you two people tonight, man. Big ups.
Big up, man.
Nice one, man. Respect for everything, man.
This has been Rolaz, Dawn Reid, Tronique. Peace.
Yeah, big up.
Electro TV.